This right here is Lasso Shallow, and he's about to jump 58.8 meters into water. Yeah, if you or me did this, we would probably die. So why is it when Lasso does it, he swims away merrily to shore? In today's video, we're going to work out how cliff divers don't die, and if cliff jumping, aka cliff diving, aka high diving, has the potential to kill off Olympic platform diving. All the stunts in this video are performed by professionals. Do not attempt them yourself.
We have arrived.
So for context, a few months ago, I was invited out to Boston by Redbull, and I got to witness this incredible sport with my own two bulls, the top pair.
All right, so we've got people hucking it already.
I kid you not, the whole town was completely taken over by Redbull. I mean, you couldn't go to the toilet without seeing some Redbull branding. And a whopping 15,000 people came to see this live event. Cliff jumping is believed to have come around about 250 years ago, originating in the Hawaiian Islands. So legend has it that the king of Maui, Kahiliki II, for a little bit of light entertainment, he would force his warriors to jump off of cliffs into water. It was kind of a way for the men to show that they were fearless, brave, and willing to do whatever for the king. And then presumably, one of the boys wanted to spice it up one day, and presumably did a front flip. Gradually, cliff jumping turned into a bit of a competition, where participants were judged on style, with an emphasis on making the smallest splash possible when they hit the water. Throughout the 20th century, the popularity of this sport grew. Televised events would pop up and bring the sport of cliff jumping into the average Joe's home.
Swan dive. Oh, he lost it on the entry just a little bit, his feet kicked over.
This birthed an international audience. Competitions were hosted all around the world, where you could see these flippy boys send it into the water.
It started to get some popularity, and all of a sudden in the 70s and 80s, actual competitions. Over the decades, the dives got harder, people involved wanted to get it out there a little bit more.
Americans to go in head first.
But you see, this was kind of like a novelty thing. It was something you might see at the circus or like a theme park entertainment, but it wasn't really looked at as a serious sport. It was a stunt, as opposed to cliff jumping's far more respectable brother, platform diving. Platform diving was first introduced into the Summer Olympics in 1904, where you would see divers jump from 5 meters, 7.5 meters, and even 10 meters, which is considerably smaller than what cliff jumpers jump from, where 27 meters was pretty standard for a high diving competition.
So behind us we have the two platforms which the athletes dive from. The women dive from the lower one, 21 meters, 70 feet. The men dive from 27 meters, 90 feet.
During the 80s, cliff jumping would really grow, and that was in large part due to one early icon of the sport, Dana Coonsey.
I've been doing these world records. This will be number 7 for me, that I finally inside realized that I'm going to have to take a few months' time preparation beforehand.
So at this point in the 80s, the mainstream world is used to seeing diving in the Olympics from 10-meter boards. But in 1982, Dana Coonsey would come along and do the impossible.
Dana, this is Ken Sitzberger and Diana Nye at poolside. Can you hear us?
Yeah. How do you like
The world was watching as Dana Coonsey climbed up this sketchy ladder to eventually reach the height of 52 meters. The boy turns around to face where he's going and leaps.
Going through some of his arm movements. There he goes.
Good jump. He's in good shape. He knows where it is.
This was the highest dive in human history. And not only did he make the dive, he managed to do a triple gainer on the way down. Not only did this 52-meter dive become a world record, but the record itself became a record too, as it is the longest unbroken record in sports history. That is how insane this jump was.
Well, there is one more diver, but I don't see any way that he can top that dive.
So this is 27 meters behind me. Dana did 52 meters, which is almost double that. He did a triple gainer off it, and his triple gainer video is sort of like one of the classic high dives of all time.
But then in 1999, everything would change for cliff jumping.
Red Bull endorsed it with a competition called Red Bull on the Rocks. It was in Lake Havasu. Here we are, 2 decades later with the world's biggest series.
It's hard to put into words the impact that this Red Bull event had on the sport of cliff jumping / high diving. I know it's confusing. Before this event, cliff jumping was never presented to the world as an athletic pursuit. Yeah, it was more so a group of friends would find a cliff face and just huck it into the water.
Secondly would come Dustin Webster, the crazy guy ready to push the sport and do quadruple flips. And then comes in Orlando Duque, probably the very, very best between the year 2000 and 2010. And then after Orlando came Gary Hunt.
Gary Hunt, final diver here in Beirut, Lebanon. Gary Hunt in typical form, the Magic Man. He tends across the board by all 5 judges.
And Gary has been the best of the best for the last 10 years. He's broken all the DD records, hardest dives, the best results. But now we have Aiden Heslop from England, who's 20, the young gun, and we have Konstantin Popovic from Romania. And these 2 guys in the last 6 months learned 3 dives between them that are so much harder than what the rest of the field is doing, and they have paved the way for the new era, which could be the Olympics in this decade.
In 2009 in Turkey, at the Red Bull cliff diving event, a man by the name of Gary Hunt stepped up to do his dive. What happened next would change the world of high diving forever.
Gary Hunt, when he first learned the back triple with 4 twists in Turkey in 2009, that was really iconic because that was the first time somebody did something that you couldn't do off the 10-meter pool.
This was a truly epic, game-changing moment, but not everyone was happy about it.
Some of the traditional diving coaches and athletes go, wow, this high diving is actually going to bring diving up. But then there's some people as well that are a little bit, it's too dangerous, the consequences are too high, might outshine 10-meter and 3-meter diving to a point where it becomes insignificant.
But look, it's not the entire world of platform diving that think this way. There are some that see the benefits of this growing trend in high diving. And that's because to get to the point that you're able to jump off of 52 meters, you're going to have to practice off a 10-meter board first. But look, there is one way bigger controversy than cliff diving being in the Olympics, and that is tombstoning.
All the adrenaline and excitement, tombstoning can so easily go wrong.
An internet craze that's putting teenagers' lives at risk.
83 people have been injured, 20 have been killed.
I'm from Plymouth, and I feel like this is where tombstoning, I swear the word came from Plymouth. Basically, we have a location on Plymouth seafront where a lot of people used to go cliff jumping, right? But a lot of people used to get hurt because it's a spot where at high tide, the water is 15 foot deep, and at low tide, about the height of my head. So these kids were jumping off at low tide, getting paralyzed, having these life-changing injuries. I think that's where the term tombstoning came from. It was like a fear factor. Don't do tombstoning, don't do cliff jumping, don't be reckless.
You know, like Barry the plumber, he might be on his lunch break, grab a meal deal and his copy of the Daily Mail, and he'd look at the front page and across it would say tombstoning. And Barry would be shocked, reading that these stupid kids are launching themselves onto rocks and killing themselves doing what is called tombstoning. And look, I take the piss, but this was a serious issue. The kids were genuinely crippling themselves and having life-changing injuries. It got so out of control that parts of the UK actually banned quote-unquote tombstoning. The image of cliff jumping was being dragged through the dirt.
Tombstoning is one of those things that I really wish the term never came about. It just really brings a shadow on everybody and all our hard work. It sort of tries to hinder what we're trying to do here, but I think over the last few years it's sort of a term that hasn't been used as much as it used to be. Cliff diving, cliff jumping, high diving is paving its way back in there as a mainstream way of looking at it and a safe way of looking at it. When you post about how to do it correctly, how to go from 20 feet to 30 feet to 50 feet to 70 feet to 100 feet, I think people just need to go up there and be like, oh, it's only water, how bad can it be? Oh, it can be real bad, mate. Like, it can smash you to pieces, you know what I mean?
Look, there is no escaping the fact that if you jump off of a cliff, you might hurt yourself. The highest dive that was ever done was by a guy named Lasso Shallow, where he jumped 59 meters. However, prior to this, Oliver Fava attempted a 54-meter dive. And when he hit the water, he broke his back. The main premise of this video I kind of want to go down is how is it the human body can do that? Because obviously people can die.
The average person, if they jumped off 90 feet, would absolutely break themselves. It would be a hospital visit for sure. We do a lot of strength and conditioning training. The abs are incredibly important because when you hit the water, everything from your legs to your lower back is taking a huge shot. We also train the adductors, which is an interesting muscle that you don't use much, but the major injury is when you hit the water like that, the first thing that happens is they want to split your legs apart like that. So we actually get a lot of inner leg tears. Another one, if you don't get separated like that, is that you go in nice and straight and then you're in a ball like that straight away. So you also have to just like keep pushing down, and we really practice the line-up position as well. It's like arms down, punching the water and like chin up.
Personally, I really hope that this sport grows and does make it to the Olympics. I really hate the idea of like holding back a sport due to these bureaucratic sporting bodies. But there is good news. Currently, rumours are going around that there might be a cliff diving display at the Paris Olympics, meaning that in the 2028 USA Olympics, there's a good chance you might see some cliff diving. So let's see where it goes. Amazing sport. Keep it up. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel and watch this video right here.